This is titled California Crack Up. I'm sure we'll have some laughing today, but also some crying about the state of California. And I know a lot of us are bemoaning where we are with this state, but what's really exciting, as bad as everyone thinks things are, and things are bad in this state, that there are solutions and there are some paths forward to really get this system back in place and some reforms. And you have two fantastic folks here today who I know pretty well. I've actually, so I've been their groupie because I've sort of been following them around as they talk about reform. I'm going to have them each introduce themselves a little bit to you, but just Joe Mathews and Mark Paul.
Actually, writing a book with another person is always a very risky endeavor, and especially in this case because Joe and I are very different people. As you can see, I'm one of those narcissistic baby boomers, you know, and Joe is one of those Gen Xers. You know, Joe, I was born outside of California and came here to go to school. Joe is a fourth-generation Californian. I went to Stanford. Joe had to settle for Harvard. You know, I've spent my life in journalism largely on the opinion side. As Ted said, I was deputy editorial page editor at the Sacramento Bee for many years. Joe is from the news side, and any of you know the newspaper business, news side, editorial page, church and state don't normally mix very well. And also, you know, worst of all, I in 2004 left newspapers and went to work as deputy treasurer of the state of California, and was later policy director for Phil Angelini's gubernatorial campaign 4 years ago. I've actually gone out and had political experience. Joe remains resolutely and defiantly a political virgin. So we come from this from very different perspectives. But we found that we shared a common purpose, which was to try to explain to Californians how it was we came to this point in our history with a state in deadlock, seemingly unable not only to fix its problems, but even talk about them in a way that was equal to the challenge we faced. So in that respect, we had an opportunity to set aside our policy differences. I'm not even sure what those differences are because we don't talk about them very much. We focus instead on the book on the governance question, how it is we can make California governable again. So
I asked you each to introduce each other, but Mark ended up introducing Joe. So you can add into your bio or say what you want about Mark.
I would just add that one other difference is Mark is from Northern California and I'm from the South, and this is one of the few jackets I own. And so it's really cold here. So I'm grateful to be part of this, and I do think, you know, I mean, I think that described us both pretty well. I do think what we had in common and really wanted to do this book is I think we shared certain frustrations, not just the obvious ones that I think we all have about the state of California and the state, but just about the sort of the narratives around it being, you know, the things that public understanding and the way the media talks, and I'm you know, still think of myself as, you know, a journalist. That's what I spend my days doing when I'm not talking, and you know, the stories are old, and they take us in places that aren't very helpful, aren't very true, and often have to do with sort of scapegoating. You know, if it's not this particular politician has messed things up, or this, you know, this public employee union or this corporation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And while there's plenty of blame to go around, and certainly I think if you've been voting the state for any period of time, you're to blame as well for the system as I have. I mean, we were at an event in Cal State Fullerton, and one of the political scientists got up and said, what was it exactly? Repeat after me. I'm a Californian and I'm an author, one of the authors of a broken system. I mean, all of you probably in this room can say that as well. Our shared responsibility for this fix, particularly given the power of voters in the state, as the authors of so many of these rules, we just wanted to try to create a new narrative in a way that led to actual thinking and a framework for I shouldn't use the word framework anymore. It's been sort of polluted. They've been calling the budget agreement they can't reach the framework in Sacramento for the last week. But a way of sort of thinking about the problem that leads to constructive thinking about a solution. I mean, it's, we're not in a, we're in a fix, but it's very much a fix of our own making, and it's not, we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel to get out of it. We do have to do some hard things that are new for us, profoundly new for us as a state. And I think, for me, it's a, writing this is kind of patriotic act. I mean, I've, as a Californian, our family is fertile and big family in all corners of the state, including here in San Mateo County, where my grandmother's lived since 1953, over on the other side of the hill. And I think there's a, there is a way forward, and I think California's future can be much brighter than it's ever been. But we do have to do some very difficult things that we've never had to do in 160 years.
So he is a local version. He blamed the audience for part of the problem and said, "You guys, you learned in politician school. It's never the voter's fault." No, actually, that's on the bios. You guys saw just very, very briefly, because I think a couple people might be interested. Another thing that unites you, other than this book, is you are both fellows or work with the